So episode 6, we're here. We've done pretty well so far. We're halfway through what we planned to be doing, because we always said we'll do this for a year no matter what. But we thought halfway through we need to get someone a bit special on, didn't we?
Who's special in the Steph?
Exactly. So we've got Mr. Wells, Mr. Steph Wells, who's going to hopefully tell us a lot about all his experiences, because we spoke to Claire before, told us all about hers. And obviously anyone who has actually listened to all of this knows all about ours already.
Yeah.
But Steph has done so much more than just work at a bar. And I think getting an insight from what you've done and all the cool stuff you've done and all the cool stuff you're actually doing now, and 100% with the however many people might listen to this, we need to promo the stuff you're doing at the moment because it's insanely cool. And yeah, so start it all off with, who are you? Tell everyone who you are and what you do.
Hi, I'm Steph. I started in hospitality back when I was, 16, 17? I actually remember, I think it was the third bar I ever worked in. I worked up the road from you.
That's right, yeah.
The place that you're currently in now. And it's, just insane to see how far I've gone from back then. I started off as a glass collector, went all the way through to running venues, designing venues, became a head chef. Now I'm working down in London running a donut brand for an ex-Michelin pastry chef.
Which is nuts for me. The transition is all over the shop. It's mental. Yeah. You know, obviously going back a little bit, when you first started, what was your first hospitality job? What did you actually do? Was it, you say glass collecting, was it like an old boys pub? Was it?
So am I allowed to name bars on this?
I mean, I guess if they don't exist anymore. Do they exist still?
I mean, it still exists.
Okay.
So there's a beautiful place on High Street that's got an absolutely amazing ceiling.
Okay, yeah. Anyone from Leicester knows where you're on about, yeah.
And I started out there with it was shonky at the time. It was real bad.
Yeah.
The glass machine used to make the whole bar live. The glass machine would leak if you knelt down in the puddle in front of the glass machine and touched the bar, you would get electrocuted.
Amazing.
And it was just insane. That place was crazy to work in. Used to deal with all sorts. It'd be nice fine dining during the day, proper good pub food, and then get through to the night and the whole place turns into a nightclub and you're complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
So see, obviously see it, the decor of the place, and obviously we can't really say where it is, but it looks incredible. So when you look at it, wow, this is nuts. But then, at night time, you go through and go, nope.
Yeah, exactly.
Not going in there. Okay, so when you first doing that, then what made you go, yeah, this is what I want to do forever. This is what I love this.
So I actually started out in hospitality because I always wanted to be a chef.
Yeah.
You started on the wrong side.
But that was the whole thing for me. I wanted to see what it was like to be on the receiving end of a chef.
Yeah.
So I started out front of house and did that for probably about 5 or 6 years before I actually got into a kitchen. And it was just right, what's it actually like dealing with people in that hot environment, and then trying to take from that the sort of things that I didn't want to bring to that role.
Yeah. And then brought to that role.
And then brought to that role.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was definitely mad experience. I've done. Yeah, we've had some fun horror stories.
Yeah, and I want you to in a bit. I want to hear all of them. But obviously, when we first met, it was we can talk about the font. It doesn't exist anymore, which is a massive shame because it was an absolutely amazing place when you guys were there, and it was one of my favourite places. And where I worked before, I used to often go over there. Because that's originally you were on the bar there, and then you went into the kitchen. Yeah. And was that when you first started in kitchens?
So
officially,
I was on the build team for the font way back when.
I remember actually. Sorry, I remember you actually because you were putting up furniture and you were doing all. You were there physically building that place.
Yeah. So back at that point, I was working. I can say these names. I was working O-Bar, Hush, Mars Bar.
Yeah.
And bowstring all at once.
Wow.
So I'd start off in an O-Bar at 11, do the setup shift there, move up the road to bowstring.
Yeah.
I'd do the close down there and then go on to the 2 nightclubs in the centre. And then
madness.
The guy that I actually ended up working for, Tony, at the font, turned around to me one day and went, "Look, Steph, you used to work for me at the first place." Mm-hmm. with the beautiful ceiling. Do you want to come and work for me at the font? It was my first offer of a full-time job within the industry. And I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. So I went around to see the site. It was an absolute mess. It was a building site still. And then we literally spent 6 months, and everybody that was working there behind the bar had a hand in building it for that 6 months period, and it was insane. That gives you so much respect for a venue.
Every part of that,
you know, because you were involved in every single part of it, from like decking out the cellar to making sure the kitchen was sorted out. Like we laid the floor down in the toilets. We jet washed the sump.
Yeah,
like it was
mad.
insane. Every element of it was done by hand by the people that worked there.
That's insane, because like you said, that's going to be almost, I mean, don't get me wrong, I care about the venue I'm at, and I care about, you know, obviously we do, but to a point. It's like, well, you know, I can't fix it, go to the bin. Or I didn't build it. It's
structural, you're just like, cool.
Yeah, Whereas for you guys, it's like, well, no, we blood, sweat and probably tears went into this. We are making it work. We are making it pretty. It's going to stay pretty if anyone breaks it.
Literally, like it got to a point where like you learn so much as well while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like, who's ever heard of like diamond glaze before? I hadn't before.
What's that?
It's a varnish that you literally can put over paint that sets like diamond.
Okay.
Which I was learning about when I was like 18, 19 years old, because we were like, right, how do we make sure that none of this paintwork gets chipped?
Yeah.
Like, you know, metalwork. We laid the bar top down on that thing and bent like a zinc bar top around like what the wooden bar top was already there, laid in like edges on it to stop drinks from spilling over the sides, so you won't end up walking in puddles. If someone knocked a pint over on the bar, it all stayed on there.
That's like really
cutting out sections of the bar to like drop a sink into that sink that was at the end of the bar.
So you thought about every little bit of that?
Yeah,
just that bit there when you said, oh yeah, we put the edges on. I was like, who thinks of that?
I'd say what my brain skipped to is, you know, when someone leans in the bar and they put their hand in like the smallest amount of water and they're like, all I imagine is someone doing that with that bar, and it's just a puddle, and like,
that's mad. And then what? You obviously were there for a long time.
7 years.
Was that the duration of the font?
No. So the font carried on going after me. I think it went for 12.
12 years.
But I left to get out of the industry.
Did you half year? Yeah.
Yeah. So I left.
What did you do?
I left and worked at O'Neill's for about 6 months, and then I moved into jewellery.
Oh right.
So I sold diamonds and tag watches for.
Did you tell anyone about the wallpaper? Huh? Did you tell anyone about the wall varnish? So you know, we used to put this stuff on the walls.
You know, so obviously you probably have a very similar experience to me, but maybe you enjoyed yours. But obviously going from the bar work, going to that hospitality, going from that vibe, but then going to a very, I guess it's then even then a formal, wearing a suit,
proper structure,
got looking good no matter what. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was in an office and no one else saw me but my colleagues.
Yeah.
But you had to wear a suit, you had to look good, and I hated every second of it.
I hated it too.
Good. I'm so glad it wasn't just
me. Don't worry, we're all friends.
Yeah,
We've got the same experience. Like, I got out, when I got out, I was like, I did it for love.
Yeah.
And I hated every second of it.
Yeah.
I went from seeing like 200-300 people a day, having conversations about random shit that you'd never guess the amount of cool conversations you'll have over a bar, right?
Yeah.
And then you're selling a watch to someone. The next day you're selling a watch to like 7 different people, and you're like, cool, all we're going to talk about is finance. All we're going to talk about is how I can make you buy something that you don't actually have the money for.
Amazing.
And I'm going to try and lock you into this. And it just, every part of my being went, no, you're going to hate this. So when me and the lady I got out of the industry for split up, 2 weeks later, 2 weeks later, I was working in Manhattan.
It's such a thing, isn't it? When you get pulled, when you go away, and then it's that first. For me, it was the first like coming back, and I was like, yes. Like even I think I can't remember the week or something. I think it was when we were at a place, and it was just going over a transition from one brand to another, and it was that I've made the right decision. Yeah. This is it. I'm loving every second of it. Obviously, after a period of time, that can finish, that can fade.
Yeah.
Was there ever a point for you where you went? Right, so obviously when you went to Manhattan, you go, I've made the right decision, absolutely love it here. Was that it? You were planned in, or would you go, oh, something's done me in, I'm off, I'm not doing this anymore again? Or did you ever get that wobble again? Or
I'm trying to think. I definitely had another period in time where I got out, but that was more towards COVID.
yeah,
But that was completely different circumstances. Like I got made redundant just before COVID hit. So it was like, okay, sweet, right. I can't go into hospitality because there is no hospitality open. So I then spent COVID working between a place called Campfire Trailer, where we did actually do some bits. We were doing like home delivery, cocktails, taco kits, that sort of thing, working with some great people.
yeah,
But I was also working at a deli over in Wigston called Not Just a Corner Shop. Absolutely insane. Like everything was sourced within like 40 miles of the venue.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of that was like, okay, cool. How much? Like you turn up at like 6 a.m, you'd be like, right, cool. How much soil can I move today? Like we'd be getting, because it's surrounded by old deers, we'd be getting like 2 pallets of soil a week, just so that the old deers could carry on gardening all the way through COVID.
both those jobs are still within hospitality.
Well,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Especially with like the not a corner shop, for example. It's still people, and then your campfire thing. Obviously, we're still alcohol, still doing really cool stuff. So you're still hooked in at this point.
There was the third job was be the only one that I'd ever properly leave the industry to go and do, and that was home removals.
Really?
Yeah. So I did home removals for about 6 months solid during the second lockdown, and it was brilliant.
Wow.
Get into a van early in the morning, go to a house, spend 3 hours packing it, get it all on the back of the van, drive to a different place. You can kip in the van, yeah, and then the unload is like an hour. Like the money's good. There's not a lot of like. I mean, you definitely get it. I know from listening to previous podcasts and knowing you yourself. Like ADHD is a nightmare, and you think way too much. But when you've got that in front of you, and you're like, "Cool, I don't have to think about anything. All I've got to do is pick that up and put it there." It's
Single
actually,
task.
it's so freeing. To not have to think about it all. But then you get the twitch, and you're like, right, I've got to get back in. I need to do something with this overthinking brain.
Right. And then now you're at, or is it Long Boys? It's called Long Boys, or
Yeah.
And then tell me all about that, because I've been going through the Instagram, like the videos are incredible, the picture is insane, it looks incredible. Everyone seems to be having a really good time when you see pictures of you guys.
Yeah.
What is it?
So Long Boys, it's the weirdest interview I've ever had for sure. But it's long form donuts started by 2 pastry chefs from Michelin star background, who basically one of them was feeding his kid one day a sugary donut from a badly spelt American company, and he realised how much sugar and how much crap was in it, and he was like, "No, this ends here. I'm gonna get out of the Michelin star. I'm gonna start making my own." So he built it to be the face of a consultancy, basically. And 6 years later, we're still going with it. We're doing, yesterday we packed down from Pub in the Park Festival.
Amazing.
So working with Tom Kerridge. We're working up at Ali Pali. We've got a food truck. We've got 3 shops on the go in London. We're looking at taking it to franchise at the minute. So it's, like the stuff that I've learned since joining them in 2022 is insane, because I've gone from sweet, I can design a venue, to okay, now you've got to take a concept with a production kitchen, which is completely different style of running to a pub kitchen, and you've got to take it to franchise, and you've got to make it viable worldwide.
Wow. That's a mad thing to even think about. I mean, I wouldn't personally have even a thought of how to even begin to do any of that.
No.
It's do you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I have no clue.
Yeah, I don't think anyone. Maybe that's the secret. Maybe no one actually knows the real way to do it, and then we just make it up as you go along and hope for the best. But the thing is, like, that's all came from hospitality.
Yeah.
So you've met the right people. You've gone the thing. You've had those opportunities, and obviously, it's not just having the opportunity. You know what you're doing, which obviously quite helps.
Yeah.
But like, you've also had the balls to go, I'll give this a go. I'll give that a go.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I mean, at the end of the day, I've always worked on I've worked on a few ethoses, but the one that always sort of rings true with me is like, say yes, always say yes, and then figure it out.
I like that. I like that, actually. That's quite good, especially for like, I mean, again, if anyone's in an office, but you know, I always used to have a problem with a thing with like Excel spreadsheets, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, yeah, I could totally do that, no problem at all. And then I'd go Google, and then just like Google exactly how to do it, and then I'd go, yeah, totally can do that. Don't worry about it, because I teach myself and stuff. So what I want to do is, like, obviously with your vast knowledge of everything hospitality, and it is literally every aspect of it at this point, which is amazing. It's an incredible thing you've done. But like, what I wanted to ask you is sort of a couple of bits where I want you to try and think about what you think now. I want to know the future as well. So like, one of my things at the moment is, how do you think the industry is going in hospitality, in the way of like sort of how it's transforming from when we first started being out and about, and when we first started in bars, and it was all about getting cheap beer as quick as possible, drinking yourself to a point that you can't see and stumbling home, to now a lot of people going for like low to no alcohol sort of bits and pieces. They don't seem to be drinking as much anymore. And they're sort of more going towards, you know, you sort of, I don't know, like an event place where you've got, you know, bowling, or you've got crazy golf or whatever inside a building, or whatever you might do. What do you think is going on? What's your experience at the moment with what you're doing?
I think well, hospitality in the way that we are at the minute. I mean, there's a massive downturn in people actually going out, and we're experiencing that all over the place. Like the festivals that we're doing this year compared to last year, there's like a 30% downturn.
Wow.
And it's insane to think that, you know, it is such a big number,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter what it is that, you know, I'm starting build for a music festival tomorrow, and that's like that's got a bit of a downturn. And thankfully, it's not that much.
Yeah.
But then when you're looking at stuff like the ones that I was doing over the weekend, you're looking at, you know, even event spaces like Alexander Palace are experiencing the same number of downturn, and it's purely because people haven't got the money to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Which is insane. But I think the trends in sort of low and no are probably one of the most positive things to come into the industry. You know, we've all experienced a night out where we've ended up with having to deal with people in
States.
yeah, in real bad states. You know, I've had nights out where I've ended up finishing at work, going for a couple of beers, and then, you know, you get to a takeaway place, and there's a guy that's like smashed a glass, tried to cut his own wrists open because he's too drunk.
Yeah.
And you don't want to deal with that.
No.
It's not, you know, it's not conducive of a good night out. It's not, and I feel like the problem with the industry at the minute is the fact that people have experienced that way too much.
It's a real negative.
And it's now it's the industry's got like such a negative light spun on it that people don't want to go out and maybe potentially deal with that.
Yeah.
You know, so places like, you know, your bowling alleys, your places with your crazy golf are getting better and are filling that gap, which, if anything, it's a positive. At least, you know, you've got something that you can do while you're out.
Yeah.
I feel like that's, I don't
More
know,
productive.
almost, it becomes, I don't know, I feel like drinking culture, the way that we used to do it, it becomes repetitive and it gets old quick.
Yeah. Do you think now, the younger ones and stuff like that, ones who are coming into 18, 19 or whatever, maybe they are super excited to go out that first time, second time, whatever, then they experience exactly that and go, didn't enjoy that.
Well, I think
Maybe I'll
another
do
thing
something
with it as well is that, especially at this age, that they've all grown up with smartphones, tablets, things that just come and go like that.
Yeah.
So they've done it now.
Yeah.
You know, they don't need
think
to
they're
experience it for the
interested.
next 10 years
Yeah.
and, you know, hurt themselves.
Well,
They've experienced it, so now it's the new.
I think there's also, I think this plays into both sides of the bar. You know, we can't forget that COVID was such a massive thing, and that's really affected the way that, one, people look at going out, and two, the way that people interact with each other.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, when we're saying about hospitality, I feel like one of the downsides for hospitality at the minute is we've got people coming through that can't not necessarily provide a service, but be able to communicate in an effective way, because you had 2 years locked inside at a vital point.
Yeah.
Where you're learning to communicate with other people, and I feel like the population is 2 years behind
Yeah.
on that,
So
which means
so these 18 plus now will be when they're 20-ish, they might feel comfortable, maybe,
Yeah,
exactly.
and so on. I think you're right, because obviously, again, you've got all that where they've not really communicated very well. It's mostly been on phones or social media, or whatever. And then I've noticed a lot of times, you know, if you ever look around, and I challenge anyone to go to a pub, bar, whatever, have a look round, and everyone's just on their phone.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everyone is on their phone. Like we'll have student societies come through, 30 of them, and there's 29 of them on their phone.
yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on? This is.
But even we do that.
We do
nowadays
it.
as well. We'll sit on the bar. We'll sit on the table.
We'll finish work talking to each other while on our phone,
Yeah.
and that's weird.
It's just
But
randomly
it's
scrolling.
just-
It is.
and we're not even taking what we're scrolling in.
Oh.
Guarantee it. And it's all that side of things. But like I say, with these younger people who are coming out, they've not experienced any sort of communication.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I remember when me and you would go out on a night out, no matter where we'd walk up, we'd end up talking to some randoms. We'd end up, messing around, and we'd have the confidence to talk to someone.
100%. And there'd be a house party back at mine with a load of people we'd never met
Yeah.
before.
How many times we go to one of ours and we go, well, there's 30 people that have no idea who they are.
Exactly.
Amazing. But that was okay. That was how it was. But now, I don't think that. I mean, obviously, in some circles it probably still does, but the majority, 100%, it's not. It's just not a thing anymore. And I think with the social media side of things as well, there's such a big emphasis on, and like going back to what you said with the negativity of alcohol and going out and getting drunk, whatever. And it's bad. Like, I'm not telling everyone to go and do it, but it's the whole social media fitness thing. Everyone's really into that at the moment, into that sort of things, and they see that as a real negative.
Yeah.
So that's maybe why the non-alcoholic stuff is.
But I think I think with any trend there is always that like here's the really bad, here's the really good, and eventually it's got to settle out. People will understand that actually everything is in moderation kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing with Instagram, TikTok, all being about fitness at the moment, it will die down eventually. You've got people screaming, "No, you can't eat this, you can't eat that." You know the guy I'm talking about.
I'm scared to go to the co-op now.
You know
Like,
what
just
I
in
mean?
case I pick something up wrong.
But then
Bad.
you've got other fitness influencers who are going, no, and you can see it already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it is starting to come back down to
There's kind of like
normal
real
reality.
ones.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
you can eat bread.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to die.
Just eat the carbs, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when keto came out and everyone was screaming and shouting about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
How many people are telling you about that now?
So I've got a thing about this because my current boss is gone carnivore diet, right?
Oh, okay.
And I'm
So
like,
just-
cool. Carnivore diet has had like 3 different names over the years. You know, it was Atkins when we were kids.
Yeah.
It was then keto, like in sort of 2010s, 2020.
yeah.
Now it's gone to carnivore diet, and you're like, cool. It's the same diet with the same problems, just with 3 different names, guys.
Yeah.
It's like the rumors about. The singer of Purple Rain that then go on to Marilyn Manson, that then go on
Yeah.
to someone else every 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to change.
So do you see like how this industry is? Do you think it's ever going to go back to either how it was before, or sort of what do you think like the future of it is? Where we are now, what's going to happen? What do you think? Prediction time. And then when you're right, someone owes you some money. Not me. I haven't got any. But you, what do you think? What's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen?
Do you know what I'd like to happen is a resurgence of proper pub culture.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like we need to take. There's a couple of people that used to do. I think it was Linden used to have a rule for a place up in Manchester, and it was like no phones, no ties after 5 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Right, so you can't get your phone out, otherwise you buy around. You can't walk in wearing a tie. You're not allowed to wear a tie
Amazing.
while you're in, because it's just when you're in a tie, you're in your office mode.
Yeah.
You know, when you're on your phone, you can't be having like proper conversations. But you need to be in those environments to have fun.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like you know Wolfgang.
Yeah.
Okay, so I used to go to his hairdressers to have the same experience that I used to have in a pub,
Yeah.
because it's a couple of blokes just sitting around chatting.
Yeah.
No one can be on their phone in that environment because one guy's cutting your hair and you're chatting away to him and you're going to get your phone covered in hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you be doing that?
Plus,
But
normally
those
your hands are under the cover.
conversations-
Yeah.
Normally your hands are under the cover.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But those conversations are so real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those conversations can be about absolutely anything, but you can come away from that feeling like, you know what, I've I've actually had a real good experience today,
Yeah.
purely because I've got rid of the technology. I've been in an environment where, you know what, I'm just going to talk to the guy that's in front of me. And that's what a pub is all about.
Yeah.
You know, it's why I never wanted to go into high-end food. I always wanted to do pubs.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's there as a safe space.
Yeah. It's one of the best things in the world for me. And no, you do the same. It's, you know, when we are just talking to our regulars, we talk to even randoms, and you go, how's your day been? And they tell you some, like you said, amazing stories and stuff. And in the last episode, I was telling about some lad who was a waiter and somehow got into a conversation with someone else who then ended up giving him a chance as a car rapper. He's been rapping cars, and now he's rapping yachts. Yeah. And it's like, what? Like, but him just telling me that, and he was getting all emotional because he was like, I can't believe I've had this opportunity. And because he was talking to me, I think he kind of obviously telling his mates, yeah, I do this, it's whatever. But he was not afraid to actually get a bit, not emotional, but you could see it in him. And I was like, mate, you've done really well. That's really cool. Like, and those conversations are the best part of all sorts of hospitality. And people not going into pubs, not having those conversations, and instead potentially either finishing work, just going straight home, sitting in a room, whatever. Or it could be, you know, on the weekend, not meeting their mates or whatever it might be. They're missing out on all that chance to meet lots of new people. And I mean, we wouldn't know each other if it wasn't the fact we went out.
No,
you know.
There's pubs that we've all worked in where we've had regulars where if we weren't there and we weren't operating as a pub, they wouldn't speak to anybody in that day.
Yeah,
no, yeah,
you know,
sure.
and that is something you can be proud of.
Yeah,
at least, you know, even if they come in, they buy a pint, they get someone to speak to, man, and that's
that couple of like 10 minutes means absolutely everything to them.
We've
exactly.
I've worked in a couple of pubs where we have where they passed away now. We have plaques on where they used to sit.
Yeah,
like it's still designated their area, you know, because they used to come in, be their area.
Yeah, man.
You'd know pretty much everything that was going on in their lives. Those, you know, those.
And how many of those? Because obviously, then you're regulars who also know that person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, and every now and then you walk past and they go, "Oh, we're sitting in so and so seat. Do you remember where?" And then all of a sudden they're talking about, you know, all the cool things you used to do, and you know, you might have been like in the army, you might have been a policeman, you might have done some really cool stuff in between. But then that conversation starts again, and like, and this is going to sound a bit probably strange, but like all of a sudden that person, yes, he's not there anymore, but his whole aura, spirit, whatever, it's been talked about again. He's been talked about again, and he's not going to be forgotten. And these people, like the older people or even younger people, are just sitting in their rooms and scrolling through TikTok, scrolling through whatever. They're not making any memories. They're not going to have anything to talk about.
No.
Or in the future, no one's going to talk about them.
Yeah,
which is a bit odd. What I have done, I've wrote a few down because I thought of a couple of like questions I wanted to really ask you as well. Just because I'm really good at remembering things. I'm usually actually really bad. So, you know, obviously when you went from bar to kitchen, we are sort of going back on ourselves, but when we went to bar to kitchen, what was that? What was the hardest part of that? Because we were talking about what we thought would be the hardest part for you. Well, not necessarily you, but for anyone doing it. And it was, for us, we thought, well,
it's
actually...
the change in environment. Because you've gone from being around loads of people continuously to now being in a hot kitchen. Yep. Then you're also working from like an afternoon until like 10, half 10. So now you've got this space at the end of the night, just an open void, like full of possibilities.
And all your friends are still working.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean?
I think you're right on that one. You know, you both know me as quite a sociable lad, and I think the hardest thing was, you know, not having that interaction over a bar.
Yeah.
You know, the people that you do see are the ones that are coming in and out of the kitchen, taking food out. You know, you see the management from the restaurant. You hear, you know, you only hear the bad stuff. You never hear the good.
Yeah.
And then you're locked in that room. Sometimes no natural light.
Yeah.
Sometimes with some of the grumpiest buggers that you've ever met. I'm trying not to swear.
That's 100% true, though. Don't get me wrong. All the chefs I've ever worked with, they're all amazing people and everything else.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But don't get me wrong. I was in the kitchen on Saturday, and I was livid. Yeah. And I wasn't livid about anything in particular.
No.
It's the pub I run, and we were taking loads of money, doing loads of food. I should be ecstatic. I'm not. No. I was fuming. I was like, "What do they mean they don't want bacon in the burger?"
That's
I'm livid about nothing because it's such a stressful environment. And when you've got your tickets coming through, or you've got your screen filling up, or however it goes through for you guys,
the old ticket machine,
or even worse, you've got a chef coming in and going, "Right,
nightmares about that sound."
But like that alone, like that whole ticket thing noise is one thing. But like the idea of like constant orders coming through all of a sudden, and you go from quite a comfortable, I can smash this out, no issues, to this might be a bit of a stretch, to oh my god, there's not a chance, I might as well just leave. Like no one's getting their food at this time. But like that different stress again on the bar thing is just so different. Whereas with us, it's stressful. You know, you're 2-3 deep at the bar, and you go, this isn't fun. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you go, look, guys, really sorry, and you can explain it straight away.
Yeah.
They can see you're busy.
I think the difference I found when I first went into a kitchen was, you know, when you are 2, 3, 4, 5 deep at the bar, that's like 20 minutes. You've got everything sorted. Everybody's clear. When you're like that in the kitchen, you're like, okay, cool. I've got an hour's worth of fucking work to do.
Yeah,
this is. I've got to move as fast as possible. Why the hell is nothing coming up to the pass on time?
Yeah,
like what is going on? Who's taking the food? Why have I got a full pass of food? guys, move! Come on, get out of the bar, come to the kitchen. Get out of the bar, come to the kitchen. Because you are, you know, when you're on the bar, you're kind of, you know, you're in a pit of your own making, and you're like, cool, only I can dig myself out.
Yeah,
you know. Whereas in the kitchen, you're back of house. You're hidden away, and the only people that can save you are yourself and the them. Front working cohesively together.
Yeah.
And if it's not both ends working together, it ain't happening.
How did you, you know, when these sort of things were happening and stuff, how did you actually cope with it all? So like, how did you cope with, first off, the initial stress of being in a kitchen? Because it is, I think, genuinely one of the most stressful things you can do in hospitality. And it's no reason like chefs occasionally have a beer. But like, how did you deal with that?
So
you finish in at say 10:30, whatever, and then
I think the best example of this is when everything reopened after COVID. There's a place that I was working in that got an extra 200 outdoor seats. We were granted 200 outdoor seats in August, which made us the biggest beer garden with 400 total.
Were you
seats.
super happy about that?
Well, I was working with a kitchen team at the time of 3.
Good.
There was myself, Andy, and Brad. We had a pot wash that would come in part time. We spent 63 hours the week before we were reopening doing all the prep work, and that was gone by Wednesday. We were like, we've done a week's worth of prep. This is great. Brand new menu. We're going to smash it out. And I just remember getting in there on a Wednesday, smashing through all of that prep and going, what are we going to do now?
Yeah.
Like we're making stuff fresh to order now. Like we've not even got prep work. Like we got to the end of that night, and luckily I'd ordered loads of wings, and I sat in the, because we used to do like a kilo bucket of wings for like 12 quid. So people would be like, yeah, I'll get 2 steins and a bucket of wings. Done. Yeah. And I remember me and Brad being in the kitchen, and we were listening to Panic at the Disco's best album, loud as anything. Bearing in mind the owner of the pub lives in there.
Amazing.
He was on the top floor, and I just had a stein of Guinness. And I was just dipping wings. I think I went through about 120 kilo of wings. About 3 a.m. I left, and I was back there at 6.
Oh.
And the only thing that got me through, to be honest, I was like, because I wasn't really eating at that point.
Yeah.
I was nibbling, tasting stuff as we were going along, but the only thing that got me through was 2 or 3 steins of Guinness at the end of each night. And you get to the end of the shift, you go outside. The owner would probably come out and go, well, there's the first stein. You'd sit down with a pack of cigarettes, and you'd keep going until you'd done 3 litres in an hour. And you'd be like, right, now stumble home. And I think that's part of the reason that I've I thought that at that point I used to pride myself on how many hours can I work in a week? Like, how far can I push myself? And I'm still like that, but I'm now 5 years down the line from that now. 4 or 5 years down the line from that now. And, you know, since working in London, I've realised that actually you need to give yourself a break. Yeah. You know, I had a massive awakening last year where I realised that all the things that I was doing to cope with the stress weren't working.
Yeah.
And
masking it.
Yeah, that was it, you know.
Just numbing everything that's going on to enough point where you can actually survive through it, and then that'll be fine. Yeah. Always saying, I'll be right.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you have that thing where you have a conversation with someone, they go, how are you? And you go, yeah, I'm still moving.
Yeah.
I'm not dead yet.
I've survived.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you're like, but I think that's one of the best and worst things about hospitality is the fact that we've all got this mentality of, yeah, it's all right.
you think that
It's not.
your experience, and I really want to go into that actually, but your experience is like the same as ours, like that sort of era of, being taught how to be at a bar. This is what's expected of you.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you, you're doing loads of hours. Oh, you're such a lad doing 70 hours, all this rubbish. That
There's your
Like,
badge
doing a
of
40-hour weeks, part-time hours.
Yeah.
part-timer. And that, we've been bred like that almost.
I
And
think that there is a massive change in,
I was going to ask, do you think
there's-
now
yeah.
that, because I don't think a lot of ours, especially the younger ones, if I came up to, like, I know you're on 30 hours this week, I need you for another 30, they tell me where to go.
Oh yeah. I think that I don't know whether it's a plus or a negative.
I don't think they would even know that there was another 30 hours in the week.
No.
They'd be like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
No,
Exactly, but I don't know if there's a plus or a negative.
because I think
Because
it's,
I think there's some parts where, getting asking a stupid question when I was 18 years old. I once got why does this daiquiri taste like barbecue? And they'd used barbecue sauce instead of strawberry puree.
I thought that might be going that way.
that's amazing.
It was brilliant. Or the same person asked me where lime juice comes from, and it was like, fucking limes, guys. Like, let's move on. If I'd have asked that question when I was younger,
Yeah.
it would have been I'd have had a lime launched at my head.
Yeah.
I grew up being in the industry, being taught by people that for a laugh they'd be as like a bar back. They'd have to clean down the entire bar, and if they weren't moving fast enough on the bar, the bartenders just douse a towel in. You have a towel hanging off you. They just douse it in sambuca and set fire to it.
Yeah.
Because you're like, it's a bit of fun, but it's not a bit of fun. It's abuse. But I feel like we've sort of diluted it. We've grown up with that sort of.
Yeah.
Here's the hardball,
Yeah.
and we've diluted it a bit. And there's part of me that's like, cool, guys, like we need to pick this up. We need to learn. We need to learn to, what hospitality actually is. Like I struggle nowadays to find people that will work.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Even 30 hours that have, personality to come across. And it's a bit of a controversial, opinion, but not everybody's built for it.
No, and I think especially with the whole COVID thing where everyone sort of chilled out and sat down or never really got to go out so much, they weren't necessarily around it much more. So like I said, you started when you were like sort of 17 and stuff. I was, I bet we're all the same. I was out probably when I was 15.
Yeah.
I was going out drinking, pretending to have I was around that environment. So you sort of, and then I got into those sort of, you watch films, you watch documentaries, you watch all this sort of stuff, and it's like, everyone's horrible to each other. So that must be how it is. Like, it's just fun. But yeah, so, this is the problem with this podcast. We just go around in all sorts of places. It's very sporadic.
You've got three people that are clearly neurodivergent.
Yeah, ever so
together.
But like, so going back to, obviously you said, you're looking after yourself a lot more. Because one thing that did me, and I've done it to myself, and I realised, and I think it's when we were opening one of the sites we had, an old boys pub sort of thing, and I was on over 90 hours in a week. And I didn't realise the damage I was doing to stuff. I just kept going. But then we opened a brand new venue, and I had photos of myself. And I saw myself, and I looked like I was pale as anything. I looked a mess. This was supposed to be opening night, and I looked god awful. And I thought, what have I done? Because it's the first real time I probably even saw myself. And now, don't get me wrong, like there is occasions where I'll do well over what I should, because it's needed. But I'm not bragging about it anymore. No. I'm not going, well, I did a 70, 80-hour week last week. I'm gutted that I've done more than what I should. Not because I don't want to be there, but also what really happens is, well, anything after my contract, I've now just missed out on doing stuff I actually want to do. Yeah. Like see friends, go to the gym, do house stuff. What have you done? What do you think? Well, how is it going on with you at the moment? It's probably the best way to do it.
I mean, I try and claim my time back in different ways. So I have started. I'm sorry to say this, but I'm a 6 a.m. now. I get up in the morning at like 5:30. Wow. I get ready for the gym. I'm in the gym, but because I get the tube to the gym, I'm in the gym by 6 a.m.
Amazing.
And that's my time. And weirdly, I end up working while I'm in between sets
on your phone.
Yeah, because we our shops, because we got coffee shops, we open at like 7 a.m.
Yeah.
So there's people start messaging from about 6:30, But I actually find that sets me up better for the day, keeps me more relaxed. Because instead of waking up at, say, 7, 8 o'clock
of messages.
and getting 60 messages, I literally woke up 2 days ago to 80 messages before 9
Leave
a.m.
group.
You know what I mean?
That would have been me straight away. Just sort of said left group. That would have been it.
But it's literally like you can get through that in between a set and you'd be like, yep, that's questions answered, that question's answered. Cool. Now I know what I'm doing for the day.
Yeah.
Everybody's sorted out, everybody's getting going. And I think that's been one of the most productive things I've done for myself. I think so back in Jan I had like a proper mental breakdown after basically going at it too hard, working way too hard.
Yeah.
My boss actually turned around to me and went, Steph, you need to start telling me when you need time out. Because we're both absolutely mental.
You're both the same working all the time.
Yeah.
Well, that's incredible that your boss has actually then actually noticed though. You know, because a lot of bosses will take this all for granted and be like, okay, well, he's doing this all the time for me. Well, this is now what I expect. Whereas he's actually stepped up and went, well, hang on a minute, you're suffering. And whether you knew it or not, you've had someone actually go, no, you need to shout out to that boss.
Yeah, definitely.
What's his name?
Graham Hornigod.
One absolute legend.
So, you know, he's absolutely mental. If I tell you about this guy, like back in January last year, we had known each other for about 2.5 months, and we started writing a brand deck to get an investment. We've now got a wholesale pastry company aside from the company that we've currently, the Lawn Boys. So we provide stuff for like major stadiums. We did 20,000 pieces of cake for a stadium the other week.
What?
Yeah, 20,000.
That's madness.
It's a huge number.
Yeah.
But to put it into like a perspective that you'd understand, 7 pallets.
Jeez. I want to know the breakdown of every ingredient, but not now. That'd be well interesting. That's madness, though.
Yeah, man. So we do like major stuff like
Yeah.
that. Wimbledon, like
Wow.
that kitchen put out 72,000 pieces of cake for Wimbledon
That's
over a 2-week period. It's insane. The head chef for that place is so good.
Yeah.
She's come out of a 3-mesh to get some time back, and that's the whole reason that he started that was he wanted to do a wholesale pastry company, but he wanted to take pastry chefs out of kitchens that were, you know, absolutely taking the mick on the hours, and now they're working Monday to Friday, 7 till 4.
Perfect.
And that's it. You've got your weekends back. You've got your evenings.
Not just sat there slaving away for 70 hours in a shop.
Exactly.
Amazing.
You're still making good money, and you're not making any less than you would make in one of those kitchens.
But you've actually now got time as
But
well.
you now have time.
Wow.
And we've got Lawn Boys, which we've built. A lot has happened with that in the last few years, and it's only getting bigger. And you know, last year we didn't even have a food truck.
Yeah.
We hadn't done an event season. We did 5.5 months on the road last year in that van, which is incredible, given the fact that it doesn't even have a working engine. So we tow that in and out of places. It's insane.
So does that mean at some point soon then you'll see one in Leicester?
Do you know what? Thursday last week, I was actually here in Leicester.
No way.
With the food truck.
Where did you go? Where was it?
So we did a lunch for Caterpillar.
Oh, wow.
1,000 donuts, 600 ice creams.
Nice.
Got John Fitz on the van.
Amazing.
Little Sonny. There's a few of us like from the area. I was like, guys, come on, we can play some hip hop off the van, smash out a load of food. It's gonna be great.
That's amazing. That's really
man.
cool. So, like, obviously, you know, I've known you for a long time. I've seen you. But obviously, you've been running around everywhere. I want to say, like, at the moment, this is the happiest I've ever seen you. Genuinely. So, do you think, like, it is the exercise? It is obviously working for a company you want to work for. It is making sure you're getting that time back, and you're actually not doing your ridiculous amount of hours, because until you look after yourselves, like, you cannot achieve the good stuff. You can't, if you don't look after yourself, you have not got the capacity to deal with the big stuff and make things amazing, in my opinion.
I think part of it is actually the move. I was having this conversation with someone the other day, actually, and I can remember there being a turning point where in the job that I'm currently in, I turned up on a come down.
Yeah.
And I was hungover. I had a house party the night before, and I turned up at 5 a.m. to start building a venue.
Good.
Yeah. I was building a.
No heavy machinery or anything. Yeah.
No. Thank God. But I was building a. So it was a food stall in a food market in London for our company, and I had a realization that, you know, if I am going to make a go of this, I need to cut it all out.
Yeah.
And that was the point where I just went, no, it all needs to stop. I cut right back on drinking. I cut right back on everything, and was just like, right, train, go to work, learn.
Yeah.
You know, and everything will fall into place. And I think I've made some silly decisions over the years, and now I've got to a point where I've grown up a bit, and I've gone, I can't afford to, you know,
keep making those
mistakes, man. I need to move forward. I need to push for this.
Yeah.
You know, so I've still got the same drive that I had before, but I understand that, you know, if I don't look after myself, then you know, in 10 years' time, I'm not going to be anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm going to be still in debt, still not own a house. You know, and yeah, I'm probably dead in a ditch somewhere.
I won't let that happen. But like, yeah, I mean, but for me, it just seems like, you know, we've all grown up now, we've all got a bit older and stuff like that. And if you're anything like me now, like, I can't handle a proper night out anymore without being dead for like 3 days.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, for me, like, obviously, you know, you're training now and stuff, but you found other things to sort of fill those little voids. And, you know, again, because we're very social at work, and we've got that, you know, you've got your social bubble, you've got that time you can have a bit of fun at work. You don't necessarily feel like you've been at work all week to then, I've got to go out because otherwise I won't socialise all week.
Yeah.
You've already socialised. You've been socialising all
Definitely.
week. So sometimes for me, it gets to the weekend, I don't want to talk to anyone. The best thing in the world, I want to just go into my little room and, you know, just not play a game, or because I want to actually shut down a bit, as opposed to, I've not gone out all week, I've not done anything all week, I need to go see all my friends and get hammered and do whatever I need to do.
I think there's this thing that I do now that I'm down in London, that I used to claim back time, claim back personal space, and I've got a TikTok page called The Beauty in Everyday.
Yeah, all right.
So I'll just go for a walk, and I'll find little moments in the day where it's just like, oh sweet, those guys are chatting in a graveyard in Greenwich, and it just looks really like cinematic, almost, and I'll just film it.
Very cool.
It'll be like 10-15 seconds, but it sort of provides that sort of break when you're scrolling as well. I like to think of it as like someone sat after a shift and they're just scrolling. They've had a really bad day, and then all of a sudden that comes on and it's like really chill, cool. Really serene. And it gives you a moment to go, do I really need to be doing this? I mean, that was nice sound. I'll just throw that away and try and have a conversation, you know? And I think that's given me sort of a bit of an outlook on life, where you look for something that makes you happy. Yeah. You know, whether it's just the way that the train comes down the track and how it would look with a certain song back in it, or you know, the busyness of a food market. Yeah. And watching all these people actually have an experience of certain things for the first time, and you look for those happy moments, which, you know, you spot in hospitality. Yeah. But not everybody else has that.
I can imagine you have a lot more of those where you are there, because I know when I eat a donut, I'm well happy. You know what I mean? So, and then presenting them these amazing donuts and stuff. And then, like, I think we're almost out, but like, what the other thing you're doing at the moment, I've seen a lot on your Instagram with your cooking, and you're doing a lot of that side of stuff as well.
Yeah. So basically, I started doing some bits for myself for private chefing, because I get to work with some really amazing people, but they push me to move forward and go and do some bits. So I mean, we started filming food videos for my personal Instagram, and it's just stuff that it's not even like high-end food. It's just stuff that I like.
Good looking, happy food.
Yeah. It's just that I want to, you know, most of those videos that I cook is me getting back off an event. So I'll be working from, the other day it was like 4 a.m. We finished at 10 a.m. 10 p.m. That night. And then I'm like, right, cool. I want to go home. I want to eat something. I've done that for 4 days solid. What do I want to eat?
Yeah.
And I just film cooking that, and it's great. I got a nice flat to do it in. I've got the right housemate that'll sit there and eat it with me. And then I've got the right
Tough
people
job,
around.
that one.
That's the sort of job I would like. I'll be well into that one.
But yeah, we've got the kind of people around us that can help us push that out and film it in the right way. Which,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gonna do it? Are you gonna keep doing it? You gonna do anything else with it?
So there's chat at the minute of some sponsorships, but I can't talk about that just yet.
Can't disclose those, but that's freaking awesomely cool.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Down cool.
Mate, honestly, I'm so glad. Like all this to me, obviously I've known you forever, but all this amazing stuff happened to you, and all this, like obviously what you've been saying and stuff is incredible. And for me personally, I think it's amazing. So I'm super happy for you, man. Really am.
Thanks,
But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at, I think, at this one. It's been amazing to have you, honestly.
Nice to
Next
be on,
time
man.
you're about, we're going to have to grab you again and get you on. But yeah, thank you so much for coming. I hope everyone has obviously enjoyed it. And yeah, amazing. Keep doing amazing stuff.
Sick, man.
Cheers.